Okay, we'll call it to order. Please rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have several academic presentations this evening, and we'll do those before we open up to public comment. And we're going to do the Student of the Month first. So I'd ask the principals to announce the Students of the Month.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. As we've said many times now for the last few months, I'd like to introduce you to Chase Rohraback. You're going to be hearing a lot from this young man. Mrs. Sickles and I have been very fortunate to get to know him over the last, Mrs. Sickles' 5th year, 6 years at the elementary school. Chase came to us as a smiling kindergartner just 6 years ago. One of the most polite young men that you'll ever meet. He meets you every morning with a big smile and a hello before you have to say hello to him. So we're very proud of you. We are truly going to miss you at the elementary school, so congratulations. We have a nice little nice picture, the 3 of us. Whoop. All right.
I'm going to turn
And then
this
over
way
there
so I
to
can get
the
one
picture.
picture. Perfect.
All right. You're going to be
Congratulations.
sitting in that seat right there someday.
That's right.
All right, Chase.
That's right.
Congratulations, congratulations, Mom and Dad.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Good job, Mom and Dad.
I'll learn it there. That's me, sure.
Olivia, come on. Hi. This is Olivia Burdash. When we were looking for our Student of the Month, her name just came right up as one of her teachers called me and said, she's helped so much all the other students make sure they have their stuff in for National Junior Honor Society. It fits right in with what her description is. She's always willing to help a hand. She's always got a smile on her face. I went and checked her report card and I had to do a double take. There's several 100s as an average for a quarter, not just in one class, as an average for a quarter.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to do a double take. Then, of course, I'm reading the school newspaper, and there's 2 articles written by Olivia. So, our Student of the Month, Olivia Burdash.
Come on, you can get closer.
I'm good, thank you.
Got it.
One more over this way.
Congratulations.
Good job to you too, Mom.
Good evening. I'm pleased to introduce Michael Lee. He's a senior. He'll be graduating next month. He's our Highland High School Student of the Month for May 2018. He's been a peer mediator for 4 years and the president of peer mediation for the past 2 years. I asked some of his teachers to give me a few words to describe what type of person he is. Those words included thoughtful, earnest, self-reflecting, compassionate, open-minded, well-liked, sweet, sincere, motivated, soft-spoken, kind, hard worker, respectful, humble, unassuming, insightful, and a total gentleman. One of his teachers said, and I quote, "I literally cannot say enough good things about this kid." That was Ms. Petrosov, by the way. So congratulations, Michael. We wish you all... Just like that. All right. Stand up straight.
Okay, I got that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Again, on behalf of the board, congratulations to all 3 students. Accomplishments well deserved, and we'll hope to see you. I know you're going on, probably the future education, good luck, and to our other two, we'll hopefully see you in the future. Congratulations. Our next academic presentation is from the high school. Christina Saylor is going to present the fishbowl presentation. There you go.
So Christina Saylor had the opportunity to, come on up, Christina, to go to the New York State Social Studies Conference
Yes.
in Albany in March. And she was lucky enough to be one of the presenters up there. So we asked her to share with us what she had presented at the conference. So Christina, take it away.
So I went to Albany from March 7th to 11th in 2018 to discuss fishbowl discussions as a teaching strategy with other teachers, and I got this, which I'm just a little bit proud of, so I hid it and brought it to. So this is the one and only picture I took of myself at the conference, and I went with Kathy Gruner, who is our department chair and just an absolutely phenomenal teacher, somebody I aspire to be like. Nobody cares about kids as much as she does. She's just phenomenal, and she was kind of my rock the whole time because I was super excited and super nervous because this is a strategy that I love and I feel really, really strongly that every teacher, no matter what they teach, should be doing. So when I did the workshop, I had a couple objectives. I wanted to define it for the participants. I wanted to sell them on it. I wanted to demonstrate it. We actually did. I got adults in a room all to sit together in a circle and actually have a fishbowl discussion, which was particularly challenging because the first tenet of a good fishbowl is that the participants all know each other and they're really comfortable with each other, and they didn't know each other at all. So there goes my fish, because, you know, that's how I roll. This was a strategy I picked up from the Hudson Valley Writing Project, who together with is part of the National Writing Project, and they had a guest speaker from the New York City Writing Project. This is a really phenomenal program that I'm actually going to participate in this summer. I'm really excited about, so I just want to give them a quick plug. All right, so what the heck is a fishbowl? It is a discussion strategy that is set up, your classroom's set up like this, so this would be looking down from the sky. In the center, there's a group that, of students that are all involved in a discussion, and there's one empty seat, and the empty seat is an invitation. On the outside of the room, there's other students, the S's are all students, and they're watching this discussion take place. And when they just can't handle it anymore and they want to get in on the discussion, they go up and go into the empty seat. Someone in the center circle then has to realize, oh, I've said too much, and go back into the outer circle. So it's almost a game, it's almost a discussion, but it also really encourages a lot of movement in the room, and it also encourages kids to be talking about something. So I went through a whole bunch of reasons why I'm so passionate about fishbowls, and I'm just going to show you the slide because I feel strongly about it. I'm not going to read these, but it's just, these are all the benefits that I've found in my classroom since I've been doing fishbowls. And I presented them to the participants in my workshop. It's really important when you have a discussion, when you have this style, that you have a really intellectually rigorous question that's also interesting, something that kids want to talk about, which in social studies, especially American history, there's so many topics. These are some questions that I've actually used in my classroom. And the last one in particular, the kids came up with, they wanted to talk about the Parkland shooting, and they didn't really have a forum to do that. So we opened up our classroom to talk about it one day and talk about what the different policies were. I think it's entirely appropriate in an American history and government course to be able to have a discussion like that. And actually, Wade Sargent, who's our school community resource officer, I told him this discussion was happening, as well as the administrators, because I knew it could be a little bit touchy, the way that the discussion could go in a classroom, and wanted to make sure that we had counselors available and whatnot. And he actually came into the room and said that he was so just amazed by how the kids carried themselves. And actually, you can't get adults in a room to talk about something like school shootings or school violence and have a civil conversation. So to see kids learn to do that is really inspiring to me, and I'm hoping that I'm inspiring them to go out. So before I do, when I always go through the kids, make sure they have some helpful phrases to use during the discussion. And at first it sounds really forced to hear a 16-year-old say, I respectfully disagree with, Bobby. but it really does go well. And I have a couple examples. This was a fishbowl that one of my classes did at the very beginning of the unit on the progressive movement. And the question was, what is a progressive?
Even if a movement is considered like conservative to us now, or like, oh, that was a bad idea, I think if it was making like a great change, then yes, it would be progressive. But you know what I'm saying? They're like, I think changing something, yes, could be progressive, but if you're going back to what was already in place because you don't like the new way, I don't think that's progressive.
So that's what I'm saying, even if it's progress is backwards, it's still
Sometimes they do.
progressive. Because it's
Right.
just going through how.
I get what you're saying, but I get what you're saying as well, because I personally think that going backwards isn't making any difference, but like, it's different to people going backwards because they want, like, to change back to how it was. Like, I see it from both sides. So I totally agree. I think it depends on your definition of what progressive is, and it has a loose definition, so it's hard to, it's hard to really, I think, have one solid idea.
Because when people want something to change back to what it was, that's making, because
So you can see how
Even
that
if a
goes.
movement is considered.
I also did this fishbowl, during the unit, each student had a different section of a very difficult text to read. And then they had to come in together. The question for the fishbowl was, is America today more corrupt than it's ever been? And they were reading about Boss Tweed, and they were reading about New York City, politics and kind of some of the corruption that was involved. And then they had to each bring that. One student read a section about immigration and how they restricted immigrants, and actually one immigrant group shot another immigrant group over jobs. And so it was really interesting. They started to ask each other a lot of questions, and you can see they have the text there. So I'm not gonna show this one, but you do have an idea of kind of how they run based on the way that it's set up. So the outer circle. The other thing that's interesting too is periodically you'll see that little discussions happen on the outside. So when I'm not filming them, I'm typically monitoring around the outside and kind of eavesdropping on those conversations, or maybe freezing the inner circle and encouraging some of the outer kids to get involved. I do have a much broader range of kids that actually participate in class discussions doing it this way versus when I do, a full traditional where I'm calling on students and asking the questions. And they go much deeper with the content. So it was great. So I was able to present that to other teachers and really, I think, encourage them. I got a ton of questions afterwards. And everybody wanted a copy of my presentation. I put that on the slideshow. It was also really nice at this conference too. We had some representatives from New York State Education Department there, and they're changing the Regents exam. And the new format for the exam requires a lot of critical thinking skills. So this strategy was a really nice dovetail onto those skills that were really going to be required more and more. Actually, starting next year is when the first year that the new test will be offered in some schools. So it was also nice to hear that information from the people that are writing it. And they released some materials to us there that were not released to the general public. So I'm gonna kind of skip through that. So just to finish, this is kind of the crux of the entire conference, and I thought my strategy kind of tied in nicely with that. Active and responsible citizens identify and analyze public problems, deliberate with other people about how to define and address issues, take constructive collaborative action, reflect on their actions, create and sustain groups, and influence institutions, both large and small. And so fishbowl strategies were a way that I found to kind of do that within my classroom, and I use them pretty frequently. Dean's was an active participant in them in years past. So I was really excited, and I'm really enthusiastic about fishbowls, and I was really excited to be able to go somewhere and actually present to other social studies teachers from around New York State about it. And it was a really cool experience, so thank you for all that, making that possible for me.
Question for you.
Yes.
Was it, Ms. Saylor presented this, pretty much this, to our high school faculty. Was that before, we were your guinea pigs?
I was fortunate enough to go to Bill and Sarah, I think, and say, is it all right if I do a dry run of this at a superintendent conference day with our faculty? So it's really nice to be working around people, and everybody afterwards came up and gave me some hints, and actually I didn't have any footage of the kids in it originally, and they were like, make sure you get some pictures of your kids doing the fishbowls, like it's really helpful for participants to see that, and it was really nice. I felt really supported by the faculty and the administration in going up to this conference. I was so nervous about it, and I was so excited about it, but it was really, a really positive experience, and I'm hopeful that maybe I can learn more and do more sharing and get more from, because this conference was really, really special, for lack of a better word, to be able to participate in. So that was my conference.
Very nice. Thank you. Christina, what a phenomenal way to learn.
Oh.
That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, acceptance of reports. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves and acknowledges reviewing the following reports. Attendance and enrollment report, April 2nd to April 30th, 2018. Our third quarter club reports, our claims audit warrants and logs, February, March, April 2018. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Ed, second by Deb. Discussion?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. One of the clubs, school newspaper, have they put one out yet?
It's digital.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I don't, sorry.
I mean, is it available for?
There was one I just read, I think this is the third or fourth one that's come out this year. And there's one literally that I just finished reading through either Friday or Monday,
Right.
and they were putting it on the website. So I had to get
All right, no, because one of the questions, I mean, on the form of all the clubs, and these forms are filled out, some people took time filling them out, some people just filled in boxes, so not necessarily the best effort. I'm in high school and middle school, okay? So, looking at that, and that's one of the last questions, is there anything that, would you like to make a presentation to, to the board? And the answer was not at this time, which, was okay. But to see that, or to know it was available, it'd be interesting to read it, and over a period of a year, see the development of it, and the improvements in it.
And as a matter of fact, the last school newspaper, I've been encouraging them to not just do superficial kind of like what's your favorite recipe, which is great stuff to do, but also take on some things. And the last one, they did a survey about hats in the school.
I think there are two different school newspapers, right?
There's a high school.
There's a high school and a middle school.
So they are, they're,
Middle school.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you're addressing the high school.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get a copy to you.
Or if it's available on the website, then.
I have looked to see if it's there yet. Okay.
All right. National Junior Honor Society, they said one of the things was a bake sale, but then nobody checked, was this a fundraiser? So, if it was, there's money, somebody, what happened with it?
Okay, we'll look more closely at them.
And that's about it for that. High school ones looked okay. Thank you.
Some of the advisors did say that they would be interested in coming to the board meeting, and I would really like to have them come, if they're still willing.
Maybe for our next middle schools next.
Yeah.
Piece.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Yeah, I hope that it's being relayed, but the whole reason for this is so that we can find out. We're just trying to look for a give and take communication on which extracurriculars are actually being utilized and which ones are popular among the students, and so that if it comes time to create new ones, or students want to create new ones, we know where to shift the funds. And it's a living, a living exchange, and we want to make sure that we're not policing, we're just simply, we're looking for an open communication, so we can most effectively use this.
No, it's a great idea. I loved reading them to see what they do with the kids. How often it was interesting to see.
Anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I want to remind you. I'm hoping to be in public comment.
Oops.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Principal's report. Joel.
All right, well, it's been a busy week. The elementary school, Mrs. Sickles and I, we've reduced the number of evaluations of our support staff, probably by half, so we're down to probably about 10 left for the remainder of the school year. Kindergarten registration, that is still ongoing, and it's a rolling registration. We are screening 83 students definitely on Friday, with 7 more that Elizabeth is trying to get in and get scheduled for appointments on Friday. So it'll be a busy day at the elementary school, screening all of those students, and it's always a fun day. The bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go. They enjoy that day. Some are a little frightened the first time they walk in, but we try to make that experience fun for the kids. It takes them about 45 minutes to an hour from beginning to end, with all the things that the parents are involved in as well. They get to meet with the nurse, talk about the immunizations that need to be in. We're going to have a representative from the Lions Club doing vision testing in the nurse's office. So it's a busy day, but by the end of the day, we will have all of those students screened. So it's good helping us to make balanced classes for the upcoming year. Last night was our PTA ice cream social. 6 of our students won Kindles. Those are the students I had mentioned. They went to the library, got a library card. Once they could prove they got that by bringing the ticket back to the school, their name was put into a drawing. PTA showed up at about 5 o'clock last night, and they said, we have to do this drawing before everyone gets here, but we're going to Facebook Live it. So I stepped out of my comfort zone and sat in the entryway. Was not prepared to do this Facebook Live, but we drew the winners of all 6 grade levels, and then all of the students except for 1 were able to make it to the social last night, so they were able to pick up their Kindle on their way out. During the Facebook Live, Mr. Freer made many mistakes. Thank God Mrs. Sickles was there to keep me straight, but I kept saying that the library purchased those Kindles. I need to make a public apology to my PTA. My PTA purchased those Kindles. I mentioned it in the Facebook Live, but I felt it was important to mention it again tonight. And I know he's not here, but thank Mr. Bacatius for coming last night and circling through the community members on the field. He was there with his boys. It was a fun night. It was a warm night. Thankfully, it's not tonight in the rain. So, a good time at the elementary school. If anyone has any questions.
I wanted to thank you, Mr. Freer, for partnering and working with the Lions Club on vision testing. Thank you. I think that's great collaboration with the community organization.
Yep. So he'll bring a team to our nurse's office and work with our nurse and health aide to make that screening happen.
Is that every year? The kids, is that how they're screened at kindergarten?
He does it different. We do the screenings that are by state mandate, so our nurse takes care of that. But he's doing another type of screening that the Lions Club does. So we'll see how this goes.
Okay.
And see how popular it is. It's really an opt-in. The parents would have to. He'll be there. He'll talk to parents if they're interested, and we'll see how it goes. It's the first time we're doing that.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, nice to have a clean.
All right. Yes.
One question. Actually, she's not here. Jody, in her report, had talked about a survey she did about the reading program at the elementary school.
It was middle school.
Middle school. Oh, it was, okay, I'm sorry. But elementary school, do we use the same reading program across all grades?
That's what the Teachers College reading program is that we just brought in.
Okay,
So we are systematizing that now.
so that means everybody will be,
Yes.
okay.
That's in the general classroom, but in the AIS pullouts, there's specialized different programs to meet specific needs. So that wouldn't be something that would be for all of the students. It would be in those pullout rooms.
This is our second this is really our first year of full implementation of the Teachers College Readers Workshop.
And you still go through the graduated system of sight words,
Yeah, oh yeah, that's never gonna go away.
and phonics and the whole.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, those are all developmental skills that, no matter what program you use or what approach you use, it's always factored in and part of any program.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
How's kindergarten registration compared to other years?
Right around the same. You know, it's funny, because Alan usually asks me that question, so you gave it up. I actually looked
Next
back.
opportunity for.
I looked back over previous years, and it's right where we usually screen about 90 students.
Okay.
And then we never end at 90 because
Right,
enrollment
there's always-
continues and it's an
yeah.
ongoing thing. We'll have kids move in. Very few get screened and then move away during at least kindergarten,
Yeah.
but that'll happen too. We'll have a few that move out, and but you know, we never stop screening and we never stop accepting
So
enrollment.
it's
So
been pretty long.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
You know, and then it depends on, I don't know what it depends on in the summer, why we get more some summers and a few less other summers, but typically it's been about between 30 and 40 students will end up coming to us after screening is done.
Because they forget to register.
Yes.
Or they know.
Or it's not on their, if it's a first child, it might not be on their radar.
Exactly.
You know, summer's coming, I'm not thinking about September yet, but they'll think about it in August and we'll get an influx at that point.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Joe. Dan?
Good evening, everyone. It's an update about the 5K that we had this past week, or last week. There was an article in the Daily Freeman. It wasn't just about we were just mentioned in there, but I thought it was interesting. Steve Schellenkamp wrote the article. He talks about when you sign up for, running's becoming so popular these days. When you sign up, he goes, just know what you're signing up for. Is it for profit? Is it for a fundraiser? Things like that. And he goes and talks about it a little bit. But I just want to read a little blurb about our race. Thursday, May 3rd, the 5th Huskies 5K was run on the Highland Rail Trail. The winner was Benito Vargas in 1731. I think that's called flying. I'm not sure that's called running. Last year he won, Vargas won in 1919. Nice improvement. The female winner was Bridget Carl, 2532. The Highland Middle School PTA raised approximately $3,000. That ends up being $3,200. And made the race free for all students. 46 of the 70 finishers were under 18. I just think that's fabulous. We're getting the kids out, we're getting them involved. And then he says, the last line, perhaps more races can do this. So I thought that was just a nice little blurb for us. But any questions?
Kind of the same question I asked Joel before. Should have been directed to the middle school. All right, what is is there a reading program in the middle school?
Our reading program, we have the 2 classes of ELA, 2 periods a day for each 6th grade class, and then 1 period ELA for 7th and 1 for 8th. It's not we do not have a reading program as the elementary school does. The survey that you're speaking about was a initiative put in place this year to do sustained silent reading in each 7th and 8th grade classroom. 6th grade classroom already did some version of that. So, and the way they worked that out this year was to take 15 minutes once a week in each subject area. So on Monday it might be social studies, Tuesday it might be math, Wednesday it would be science, and in there they're reading for 15 minutes.
So they're getting
Okay.
15 minutes of silent,
Reading.
sustained reading.
Right, and every subject area is only losing, okay, I don't want to use the term losing, because reading is what we need to have kids do, right? And so the survey was about the kids and how they felt about it and what we're seeing happening and how we can make improvements with that. We're also looking, we did the beginning of the year start testing, and we're doing the end of the year start testing in ELA to see, did we have an impact? Okay?
Thank you.
Dan, home and career room, is that up and running yet?
They're,
So we're waiting for specifically.
Yes, Dan.
We're waiting for a gas shut-off valve that was not
Oh,
installed.
yeah, I heard
So we just had another meeting today and with the CM and the architect, and they're working out, as sometimes happens, they fight over who is responsible for these things. And then we're also waiting just for some new, implements for the rooms, pots and pans, things like that. But really, we can't do the room until we have the guest shows.
And they're in there, I know they were working yesterday, our own people, to wire this new smart board that's going in there. And the whiteboards have been ordered, they're going up in there. Furniture's been ordered, we're waiting for that to arrive any day.
So are you anticipating moving in this school year, or are you gonna wait until September?
I would, at this point,
Next school year.
we're 5 weeks left,
Right.
right, really? So, of instruction, so probably next year.
And that, was that even really fully functional last year?
I mean, the stoves were in disrepair, they worked, but they weren't in great shape. They were doing cooking, they were doing some, they were using the room, they were using the sinks, everything worked, but it wasn't, you walk in there now and you're like, oh, there's no comparison between the two spaces. So when this gets going, it's
How
gonna
are they
be.
compensating for not having that? fully
He's
functional?
doing other things in the classroom, he's done more career readiness, writing applications. They've always sewed, they can sew and teach those skills. We've had job fairs, we've taken kids to colleges, all those other kinds of more academic parts of it he's concentrated on.
Right.
He certainly has missed being able to get the kids in.
None of this is your issue or your problem, you just feel the question right now.
Yeah, it's been a little frustrating, but because we were hoping to have the second half of the year
That was the plan.
in there. But okay, that's the way these go sometimes. He's been great, James Conklin's been great and adapted and all the way through, and each time we just go, okay, keep going. So we're excited to get in there. Right?
Since Mike's not here, I'll ask about that kiln. Any future?
That piece, I do not have a piece of information on that, so I don't.
I mean, I know Pete's been working on it, but it's,
The ventilation for the exhaust was installed recently, so now when we finish the home and careers, so we're gonna move to putting.
so by next year, hopefully we'll have.
Oh, yeah, we'll
figure
have it
somewhere
by
to
next
kiln
year.
going.
Yes.
Be all cylinders fine, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for Dan?
No, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Good evening, everyone. I have a few additions to the high school principal's report. AP exams began last Monday, and they will continue through this Friday. Our high school spring concert is going on as we speak in our newly air-conditioned auditorium. Field days planned. It's going to be, field day at the high school will be next Friday, May 25th, for the second half of the day, and the theme is Battle of the Classes, and it should be fun.
Sounds like fun.
We have been, Mr. Judge and I have been hosting several student panels to allow student input in the spirit of shared decision-making at the high school. Some of the topics that we talked about, school culture, we're trying to be proactive, take proactive measures for Dignity for All Student Act incidents, and also we're trying to get some insight into some feedback about updating the code of conduct. So we're trying to include the high school students in some, providing some information that we seek or feedback about various things going on in the high school instead of just being from top down. We're asking for information to help include that in our decisions. And finally, I'm very excited about this bulletin board. Right next to the main office, we have a new bulletin board that it's called the Highland High School Faculty and Staff Accomplishments. Some of the interesting facts that we have, that we compiled and put up there for everyone to see who walks by. We have 113 college degrees earned by the Highland High School employees. That's teachers, teaching assistants, any secretaries, clerical, anyone. We have a total of 113 college degrees. 10% of our staff is published. 100% of the faculty and staff are affiliated with some type of professional organization. that has to do with what they teach or what they do in the classroom. 65% of students graduate Highland High School with some sort of college credit, and as I understand it, that's been increasing the past at least 3 years. And blows my mind, but the combined number of years we've been teaching is 730 years at the high school. Take all our years teaching, put it together, we have a total of 730 years, and I walk by the bulletin board and I see kids standing there going, wow, 730 years. And I'm going, yeah, mine's only 26 of those 730 years. So that's exciting. So next time you walk by the main office, take a look at that bulletin board.
It's a nice idea.
Thank you. I have to give Mr. Judge credit for that one. So he created a survey and sent it out to the faculty and staff. And people were wondering why does he want this information? And did anybody ask you about it? Like why?
Yeah, a couple of people did. And I just kind of put it out there that an outsider's view coming into the district is that I feel like Highland has a whole lot to be proud of and not everyone realizes it. And that our staff and faculty is very accomplished and they're quite the professionals. And they're not always seen in that way. And so I wanted to try to boost school pride, both amongst the adults, but also parents and students to realize, wow, Highland really actually is a pretty amazing place when you look at us collectively.
So Mr. Judge sent out a survey to everyone and compiled that information.
I've seen a lot of schools also that have, at the entrance to each classroom, what the teacher's credentials are, where they went to school.
Love it. So just earlier today, we're at Saugerties High School. I was with Sarah and some of the councils and principals, and I think I didn't tell you about this, but we're taking that idea. As I walked through Saugerties High School this morning, I noticed it laminated outside of every classroom was the teacher's name and where they went to school. And it just has the image of the school, and it has, I mean, who was in the military, who did this, it has to do, and I just wanted to walk around the school and look at all of them, and then I talked to the principal about it.
It not only shows that, but I mean, also, gives the students,
Yeah.
That's exactly the whole purpose.
Students, parents, yeah.
For everyone to see, wow, I didn't realize that they went to school there, or that he was in the military, or she was in the military, or, so.
He could have done it, I guess I can, maybe.
That's right, exactly, so, that'll be our next initiative. Any questions?
Congratulations to the Special Olympics team.
Thank you. I was reserving that for Mr. Boyd. We kind of split it up. I was gonna take it, he was gonna take it. I said, you know what, I'll talk about the Hero for Heroes, which was a great event, by the way. It was the Saturday before the Special Olympics with all the police officers here, and we had a police dog doing a presentation, doing a demonstration, let's say. And a drone was there, and all the kids working with police officers. It was great to see. So. Thank you for that, and I will pass on the congratulations to our student athletes.
That was an amazing event. They had the state police were here, the town of Wood were here, and the New Paltz police were here, the sheriff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was, and they did a wonderful, they all came in with the cars and the sirens going, so the kids were very enthusiastic. It was just a wonderful event to watch.
And then my timing was off. I pulled in, and they pulled in right behind me, and I wondered, these cars with the sirens. Let me just pull over here and let them pass. The timing was off for that one, but it was a sight to see. My heart started going a little bit for a minute. I said, okay, I know why they're doing that. It was a great event.
Folding back up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Patrick.
So after being snowed out, I think 4 times for our special ed cabinet today, we almost got tornadoed out. But we were able to meet finally. We got our committee together and we started to actually get some of the work done that we had been talking about. So updating resources. We're working on putting together a handbook for our staff and then ultimately put out some more resources for our families. Just some easy documents for them to better understand our process, better understand all the acronyms that we use in our world, and just some things for them to turn to, and some documents for us to hand out at conferences to help parents ease in this transition if they're working with a student at that point. As Bill mentioned, we had our Special Olympics last Saturday, May 5th. It was a beautiful day right on the water down at West Point. Kudos to all of our students, to all of our volunteers. We had a lot of people putting in effort for this great day. And to the cadets as well. They had a lot of cadets working there and were assigned to some of the athletes, and they did a phenomenal job working with them. We had 8 gold medals, 4 silver, 2 bronze, 5 fourth place finishes, and 3 fifth place finishes. And one of our students, Jasmine Sullivan, won the Captain Andrew R. Houghton Award for her dedication, hard work, support, and enthusiasm. And it was just a great day. We had some of our staff members here able to attend with their families, so it was just a really nice day in general. Our schools.
Any questions for Patrick? Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll do the.
Before we approve the minutes, I just realized it this morning and I didn't want to bother you. I didn't get the attachments. There's only the CPSA. Did you get the attachments?
Yeah.
You got all of them?
I just got one very
Yeah,
small
there's no CSE
Just thought that was it.
attachment, so maybe we want to just kind of table that till next meeting? All right.
So.
They didn't get attached. I didn't want to bother you because I
That's
knew you were
fine.
crazy today.
CPSE minutes, right?
Yeah, we got them. It's the other ones, this Committee on Special Ed, the CSE meetings. We didn't get those
Yeah.
minutes
You've
attached.
got the
Okay.
preschool, you wanna do the preschool?
Sure, we can do
Yeah,
that one.
that I will,
And then we'll
I'll have
table the
to
other
send
one
to you.
until
Okay.
So the
they have the backup.
CSE.
CSE,
Yeah.
You
that,
have all those, Lisa, right? You have them, they just didn't.
I have to check my file.
They just
Yeah,
didn't get attached.
I'm looking at it and all I have is the CPSC, so, I'll have to check my email.
Okay.
So that might be, just something I didn't attach.
Okay, thank you.
Had a busy day today, too.
Yeah, I didn't want to bother you because I didn't
All right.
discover this morning. I knew you had a very busy day, crazy day.
That's all right, you can always bother me, but, okay. So the CSE we'll table. So you said this, approve the CPSC.
Okay, we'll do the.
Is that right?
preschool.
Okay.
Okay, approval of Committee on Preschool Special Education. Be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby accepts the recommendation of the Committee on Preschool Special Education according to the minutes of CPSC meetings of April 19th and month of May 7th. CPS, no meeting, transfer in, none to report, amendment agreement, no meeting, April 16th. This committee authorizes the arrangements for such students, special education programs and services. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Deb, second by Tom. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Personnel. Would you like to do personnel as a block from A through G? I don't believe we have any recognitions tonight. Maybe you want to speak a little bit. Are we okay with that? We have the block, okay, can I have a motion please to accept personnel as a block, Tom, Ed? Discussion?
Mr. President, I just wanted to mention Kathy McCulloch is on the agenda for transportation supervisor. Just because of the weather, she got held up. She was supposed to be here tonight, but couldn't make it, or perhaps is still on her way even. But she comes highly recommended. She has really a career of experience in school transportation. She recently, the transportation company she worked for now, I personally do know the owners and spoke to each of them, and they couldn't say enough great things about her. So she's a strong candidate. I think it's going to be a great addition to our transportation department and to lead our whole department to great heights.
Okay, and then just to comment on B, that's just a revision to our normal procedures during reorg.
Correct.
We're just gonna backfill those positions with new employees as the current ones have left the district. Okay, any other questions? Have a motion to accept. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, Dean, you're up.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I have just a few updates. The National Honor Society decided to move their cleanup. We had one scheduled for this past Saturday, but due to the rain and unexpected storms, we are moving it to June 2nd. The Interact Club has decided to postpone the Riverside dinner for May 31st to make sure to the next fall, so we can make sure the event is the most successful it can be. The French Club Spring Broadway trip is tomorrow to see Jersey Boys, and hopefully the rain somehow goes away so we're not trekking through mud. Need a poncho. The high school PTSA has a meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the library, and they strongly encourage any parents that they have 2 open seats that are definites for board members to attend the meeting. Spring Fest is this Saturday in the town of Highland. So that's always a fun event for a lot of our community members, so I thought I'd share that. The Interact Club will be going on their annual Ronald McDonald House field trip to Albany on June 1st, and that's always a really amazing trip where we get to go up there, we bring donations, we also help clean the house and make that dinner and dessert for them, so it's a really special trip for the Interact Club. Student Council plans to host their elections on field day on May 25th, as well as we've spoken with the middle school, and we're planning on having 8th grade elections for 9th grade officers on June 13th at the high school, because 8th graders will be coming up on that day for like a early freshman orientation. Lastly, the senior class has a field trip scheduled for Six Flags on June 5th. That is our next meeting, so I don't know if I will be available if we stick with that meeting date.
Yes.
And then the absolute last thing is there's 16 school days till June 11th.
Down and there.
I know.
It's stressful.
I know.
Stressful.
Panic a little bit there.
That's when I start dating myself.
Thank you.
On Friday night, the Rotary, this past Friday night, the Rotary Club of Highland had their annual awards dinner. Service above self, correct? We have 2 people sitting at the table up front here that both received awards that night. Dean Riley and Alan Barone. And when they were reading both your list of accomplishments and what each one of you has volunteered your time for, and you're pretty close. You've got a few more years. But again, it was a proud day for Highland.
Yes.
To see that. All the, everybody is recognized, but in particular for the school district. So again, to both of you, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations
Thank you.
for both of you. Thank you, Tom, I was gonna say that. No, that's quite all right, I'm glad you said it, because
No,
it
that's all.
needed to be
You're
said.
good?
Yeah.
All right. Sarah, business and operations, sorry, Emily, do you have anything? Okay. Sarah?
All right, well, it's going to be a busy time of year. Last week I was at the Foreign Language Honor Society initiation, which I think was Monday night. It was a fun night. Between the current members and then the new inductees, there were definitely a full stage for both the high school or for both the Spanish and the French members. So that's a fun event and definitely rewards the students who have worked hard in foreign language. I also went to the Special Olympics competition this past weekend. It was, or 2 weekends ago now, I guess. Just a great morning, great day. It was so exciting to see. There were over 1,000 athletes, and then each of the athletes had a cadet that was with them throughout the day. So when you had your kind of opening ceremonies, it was really impressive to see all the students and everything coming through. I wanted to just share a little bit. As I've said throughout the year, we've been doing a book study in each of the 3 buildings on poverty. And we wrapped up, or we are wrapping up the last section of the book this month at faculty meetings, and we had our instructional council meeting last week. We talked about it, and I want to tell you a couple of the outcomes that have come from the conversations that teachers have had in each of their buildings, as well as in our instructional council group. And One of those is the elementary school especially, although there were members from each of the other two buildings, have compiled a huge resource of any organization or support group or anything that a family may want or need to access. If they have very specific needs, if they have all needs, whatever this is, they spent almost the whole year compiling a huge almost database in a way, except it's printed. So we're going to have that available to parents as we look at next year, that opening day information, so that, I mean, these are all things, or many of them are things that our social workers or guidance counselors or school psychologists are aware of, but sometimes parents don't feel comfortable coming to us in the school to mention a specific need. And so this puts it in their hands a little bit more, but in its religious organizations as well as government organizations as well as other not-for-profit. I mean, it really is a very, very robust list. So I'm very proud of the work that that committee has done, and they want to continue to do other work next year. And that was headed up by Ashley Hopper, who's one of our first grade teachers at the elementary school, and has done just a tremendous amount of work for that. Another thing, we had talked about at the last meeting about the backpack program, and that was universally, we did a survey, that was universally one of the things that teachers would really like to revive at the, in the school, because it fell apart for various reasons outside of our school. And so we have a group of teachers who are very interested in working this summer so that we can have that up and running, hopefully managed within the district so that we can keep it going continually. So that's something that really was, like I said, a universal concern in all three buildings that we really wanted to make happen. And then, of course, there's been other conversations you'll be getting in the next board meeting. New York State just passed legislation about meal shaming. We've had this conversation at the board level. We must have a new policy in place by July 1st. So I'll be bringing you, that's information that just was passed like in the last week. It's something that I've been working on. So you'll be seeing that at the next board meeting. But that has been a conversation back and forth. We've talked to, we've started doing the breakfast kiosk at the elementary school. That has been a very popular and has upped, another goal, I guess, has upped the number of breakfasts at the elementary school. But that's part of the conversation that's happened. So it wasn't, we haven't just looked at the book and talked about it. It really has led to action. And one of the things that I asked in the survey that I sent to all faculty members was, okay, what do we do next year? How do we move this initiative forward, or what do you want to do with it next? And again, the dominant response was, we'd like to have action teams. We'd like to have groups of people who are going to work on a specific issue, like the backpack program. We really decided that would be one of our first things. But, and it also branches into some areas of, looking at our drug and opiate awareness, or looking at, I can't, of course, right now think of a lot of them, but that's hopefully the direction that we'll go next year, into breaking into smaller groups to provide more and to try to offer more support. So again, I just wanted you to know that it's not something where people just read it and put it away. It really has been an active conversation all year. And then the last thing, this morning, we were invited to Saugerties Superintendent's Conference Day. They had a representative from State Education, Mary Beth, and I can't think of her last name right now, Casey. And she was presenting on graduation requirements, pathways to graduation, as well as CDOS requirements. There was really, we were there for 3 hours, 8:30 to 11:30, pretty much straight through, really going through piece by piece what students need to graduate. They've really introduced a lot more flexibility in graduation requirements for students, which is great. Really will make it easier for us to allow students to graduate who don't follow a traditional path. We'll be able to go in some other directions. It also really went through some of the special education requirements, some of the safety nets that are in place. We took a team of seven or eight of us, all the guidance counselors, Bill, Dan, Patrick, and I all attended. And what was great to hear from the counselors was while they were very thankful to go and have a person from state ed to ask questions, but they felt very supported in that they knew a lot of it, but it was good to be able to hear, yes, we have been doing this the way we need to, we're aware of the new regulations. So it was a morning well spent, and we're going to take some time on Friday, which is our last superintendent's conference day, for the guidance counselors to come together and kind of debrief and say, okay, we've rolled it all around, what does this mean for us? Are there practices that we need to do differently? You know, what if this, you know, are there follow-up questions that we need to ask? So it was definitely, I'm very thankful to Larry Martone, who's the deputy superintendent in Saugerties, for inviting us to participate in one segment of their day. It was definitely time well spent. So I think that's about all for right now.
Any questions for Sarah?
Not a question, but a comment, Sarah. To start up the backpack program, you can allocate part of the Title I funds.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that.
And that's
Yes.
kind of where we are, looking at what can we do, and so that's good for us to know.
Even if it's to purchase backpacks, but you might get those donated through the Rotary or whatever, but
Yeah.
you can, even if it's to purchase food, you know, like on the bids for the cafeteria or something, but you can
Okay.
allocate some money to that.
All right, thank you, Debbie, I appreciate that.
Anything else? Tom?
Yes, I participated in a community conversation with our new public library. It's holding several community conversations, they're calling it, inviting people in just to survey them on some of the things they'd like to see happen in the community, happen in the library, and ways the library can better serve the community of Highland. So it was a great opportunity to meet with them. Last Monday, I went to the BOCES National Technical Honor Society. It was very nice. We had 5 students honored, being inducted into the BOCES Technical Honor Society. Shannon Green, Cesar Luna Rodriguez, Ryan Shepard, Matthew Sutcliffe, and Sean Van Nostrand. So very nice to see them there with their families. I'd also like to mention, as Mr. Miller did, the service above self. We all get the same, apparently, we all get the same 24 hours in each day and the same 7 days in a week. But there's an old Beatles song called 8 Days a Week. And I think somehow Mr. Barone and Dean have been able to tap into that, because the incredible amount of accomplishments and things that they've dedicated their time to, it's about time management. And certainly, as Mr. Barone mentioned, it's also about having a supportive family. So I'm sure Dean has that also, because you need your family support to be so involved. So it really was inspiring. I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention that Chief Dan Wade was also recognized, as was the Lloyd Police Department. Obviously we work hand in hand with them. And then also 2 other community members, Lenny Akmoody and Lucia De Natal, were recognized. So it was a very nice event. It really was inspirational just to see all the things that Mr. Barone has done in his career, and all the things that Dean has done in his short career, and many more great things to come that we all know about. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
And just a sidebar comment to that. And I was able to do it that evening to thank the Rotary, the Highland Rotary, along with a lot of other local community organizations, supports the Highland Central School District tremendously. I made a point that evening to thank them for what they do for the entire community, especially the Highland Central School District. So I think they were very appreciative of that. So, anyone have any questions for the superintendent? All right, moving right along. New business.
I just have one thing I wanted to bring up. I was approached by a veteran who had a concern, and I hadn't noticed it till now. I'm sure it's just something that's slipped our attention. I guess the flag on the football field is kept up. I don't break you're here. It's kept up 24 hours, but we don't have it illuminated. So I'm wondering if we should look into some sort of solar illumination, or
Or take it down.
rather, I mean, obviously, take it down, but that's just another thing to add on. I think according to the rules of etiquette and the flag law, we can have it illuminated. I know the one down by the river at the Shepherd's Park, they have a solar light on it. I was just wondering if we need to invest in that in order to.
We'll look into it, but it's
All right.
not normally.
Not to put another thing on your table.
It's not normally out there.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything under new business? Just a reminder, and I keep forgetting at every meeting, if you have any agenda items that you'd like to put on, let us know, at least the Thursday before the meeting, so it can be reviewed and then placed on the agenda. And any item that you think is beneficial to the district, we can have a discussion. All right, old business.
I have one item, Mr. President.
Sure.
So, just to mention, maybe plant the seed for a discussion at the June 5th meeting. We need to talk about the reorganizational meeting. Okay, so I did speak to our attorneys, and we knew most of this, but just to remind us. So the reorg meeting has to happen by law within 15 days, the first 15 days of July. That meeting can be done actually even on a Saturday or Sunday. If it's done on a Sunday, the rulings have been preferably from 1 p.m. or later, just to accommodate people, but it can be done also during the week, early in the morning, but usually not any earlier than 9 a.m. would be preferable. You just need a quorum, so we would need, if we only had the minimum, that would be 4 people, but certainly then all votes would have to be unanimous to pass something. So those are just some of the things that everybody asked about.
Because you guys are going
There's
away?
3 of you that are going.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I don't think we can wait until the 15th of July. If there's some, circumstance that doesn't get you back in time, then we might not have the ability to meet.
So July 1st is a Sunday.
When do you leave?
Just plant the seed so you can have that discussion,
When you come back?
definitely at our June 5th meeting, when we'll have the reorg.
When you're
June-
back for?
June 5th, so the month of June, also you might want to just discuss about like with the moving up ceremony
Correct.
and,
Oh,
because I know Dean was asking about your
Right.
schedule for June.
Our meeting, I believe, is on the 19th,
And that's the.
June 5th to the 19th. That's elementary moving up ceremonies, so I'm not sure, traditionally, we don't have a lot on the agenda
No.
unless there's some appointments, but normally they don't come up every week in June.
Right.
We don't make the appointments until later on,
And
so.
We have a meeting right early in
But in
July.
previous lives, I've only had just the one meeting in June at the beginning, and then you don't have another
I mean,
meeting.
we could hold a meeting until the second Tuesday, the 12th. That's
Of June?
allowed, yeah, allowed.
That would allow our student representative to attend, rather than quench his thirst for
There's
roller
something else
coasters
on the
and the like.
No, there isn't that I'm aware of, but that's, just keep in mind for your retirement,
Right.
Correct.
recognition,
Right, you need to
your
make a
tenure,
decision.
right, so you might just need
Yeah,
to
the
make
June
sure
5th
that,
is an important meeting for all that.
right, so you just wanna coincide a date
Right.
for that.
So again, in July, I'm just gonna jump back, that's just for a moment. So it'd be up to the board if you wanted to meet on the 1st, which is a Sunday, or if you could get enough people available. I know that people work, so I don't wanna put an undue burden. You could meet July 2nd, which is the Monday, but meet early, I'm not sure what time the people are leaving, but you could meet early that day on the 2nd, for the reorg meeting.
I think they didn't want to do that. Didn't you guys say it was too rushed? Didn't you have that
You
conversation?
gotta see what the
We
time
find out
is.
what the time is.
Yeah.
Right.
For July 2nd. So you're thinking like 9?
We'll have to meet either the first or the second.
You have to
Yeah,
meet at
yeah.
the 1st or the 2nd, yes.
We'll have to explore that.
Because they're back on what, the 14th?
14th, which is a
15th.
Saturday, and the
15th is our
15th is a
cutoff.
Sunday.
All right.
So either way, meeting on a Sunday.
We'll finalize that on the June 5th meeting.
Sure. I just wanted to get people thinking.
Yep, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Before we close, we can. The other item on there, obviously, today's the budget and election vote, 3 propositions. So if you did not vote yet, you still have 43 minutes to do it, so hopefully we get everybody out there that's eligible to vote and that's County Central School District to vote. And we invite everyone to, stick around for the results if you'd like to. Outside of that, I believe we do have,
Yeah, so this is the kind of transportation supervisor I want. So despite fallen trees, down wires, and a tornado, they still make it here. So I just wanted to congratulate.
Yes, I was stuck in a tornado, that's true.
She has been, you approved her as the new transportation supervisor. So Kathy, thank you very much. Want you to stand up.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
congratulations, Kathy, and I'm
Thank you
sure
very
you're
much.
gonna do an outstanding job for the students and the community of Highland.
Yep, I look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you.
So she'll be, her start date is June 11th,
That's a good
Monday,
day.
June 11th.
It's a great day.
Is it a good day?
Okay.
I'm guessing
That's very good. Your birthday?
it's someone's birthday, I'm guessing. No?
All right, anything for the good and welfare of this district? Open the meeting up to public comment.
What's on the 11th of June?
Sal's birthday.
Is that his birthday? That's your birthday?
Right.
The 11th of June.
I think so. No public comment? Okay, we'll move to adjourn. Have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Ed, second by